Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the Cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Ethereum, and we're going to be discussing key milestones. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out Into the Cryptoverse Premium at intothecryptoverse.com. Now, Ethereum has rallied back up to its bull market support band, the 20-week SMA and the 21-week EMA. They are currently coming in at around 1917 to 1942. We know Ethereum went basically just above those levels to a little over $2,000. Now, the question is will Ethereum blast through this, or is this just going to simply be another lower high, right? Is it just going to simply be another lower high? I will say, I do think it's prudent for people to use caution during these times, especially when Ethereum rallies off of its low as quickly as it has. Okay, so there are other examples we can look at, especially in prior bear markets or at the end of bear markets, to just say, you know what? There is some reason for caution as we go into the fourth quarter of the year and as we get past the merge. Okay, so the first thing I would say, the first two notable places are, well, if the bottom is in, you're talking about seeing a very similar type of move over here to the tune of 100%. We didn't even make it back up to the 20-week SMA before correcting back down about 38 to almost 40%. If Ethereum saw a 40% correction, I mean, you're talking about going back down to around $1,200, okay, or maybe a little bit. Well, I guess it depends on where you measure it from. If you measure it from $2,000, of course, it'll be around $1,200. But that is a fairly significant pullback to think about, even if the bottom is in. Now, the other question though is, well, what if the bottom is not in? Okay, if the bottom is not in, what if it's more similar to, say, this type of move over here, where you saw about 128% move to the upside? This move to the upside was about around 127% or so. So a very similar type move. Now, I distinctly remember what happened in 2018, and I did get wrecked a decent amount in it. So I'm not here to just spread doomsday or anything like that. But I do want investors to be cautious, to remember that things like this can occur, where you will see significant rallies to the tune of more than 100% back up to a very bullish level, only to get rejected and then go put in a lower low. Okay, because again, Ethereum had a very similar type move over here. Now, arguably, this bear market has been a lot different. In one of the ways, the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation is still extremely high compared to where it would have been back in August of 2018. So I fully understand that. And frankly, the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation has been outperforming my expectations over the last couple of months. If you remember, earlier this year, we were talking about this sort of like Wyckoff distribution pattern. And actually right here, I made a video called like Ethereum standing on a cliff or something like that. And then, you can see very quickly we came back down, which was in line with my general expectations. This move back up to the upside was not. I do think a lot of it is people, of course, speculating on the merge. Perhaps they're buying spot ETH and then maybe shorting futures just to get access or exposure to potential forks or whatnot. I don't really know. But the spot price, or at least the spot bidding, I think has been fairly heavy over the last couple of months as we get into the merge that's coming up theoretically in about 1 month. Now, the question I think on everyone's mind is what's going to happen after the merge. Is it going to just be a buy the rumor, sell the news? So you buy it going into it and then you sell it afterwards? To be completely honest, I don't really know. I think it's probably worthwhile to hedge either way. I certainly wouldn't go into it thinking that I'm going to be like 100% committed, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to go in either without any skin in the game. So, I look at the Ethereum level right now, and we do know that we've rallied to the tune of about 127, 128% off of the low. I think this is a big test for Ethereum. Will it break through that elusive 2K milestone and send us into a different type of pattern than simply just another failed bear market rally? The other thing to look for, if we do somehow get past the 20-week SMA, I think the next thing in line would be the 200-day SMA. Okay, this is something that back in March, we rallied all the way back up to around $3,600, only to get rejected by the 200-day SMA. Now the 200-day is sitting slightly higher than the 20-week. The 200-day is currently coming in at 2246. Now, to get to the 200-day, Ethereum will need to rally another 20% or so. Okay, so if these rallies do come our way, which it could happen, do know that these are going to be significant levels of resistance for Ethereum to get past. Okay, so I'm not saying we can't break them, but usually you get rejected on the first attempt, just like it appears that Ethereum has been rejected on its first attempt of trying to get through the 20-week SMA. Like if we zoom in on this, you can kind of see right here, Ethereum rallied right up to that level, and then this week it's getting sold off a little bit. I mean, it hasn't gone down that much, relative to where we opened up last week, which was 1695 or so. But still a nice pullback right after getting to that 21-week EMA, 20-week SMA. So I do think these are important levels to look for. Now, if we do get a major rejection off of here, okay, so this is a big question I think everyone wants to, really spend some time thinking about. We got rejected over here back in March, and we put in a new low. Okay, so first of all, we had our top over here at 4,800. We put in a low right here. Our rejection in March/April to a new low in June. Okay, so we had a low in January and then a low in June. And then you can see these highs, right? This is November. This is April. If we just sort of take a measured or a time, if we look at how long it took to put in that new high, it was about 21 weeks. And then if we go from that high to the next one, it was also about 19 weeks. So you're talking about 19, 20 weeks in between potentially these lower highs. If this is just a failed bear market rally, we could rally right back up to this level, whatever it ends up being, in about 20 weeks, maybe early 2023. We do know that Q1 does tend to be a good time for Ethereum. Now, my thinking on this is that Ethereum has already, this is a fairly attractive value down here at the $800 to $900 range. Some people have asked me what is like my worst case scenario on Ethereum. For me, I would look at the logarithmic regression band and say that's probably the worst case scenario for Ether if it were to just simply get rejected off of the bull market support band, like it did over here in March. If we get another rejection here and we go back down, I would be looking at this as a potential accumulation phase of a lifetime, right? Everyone wants to know, when's the next accumulation phase of a lifetime video going to come out with Ethereum? If you remember, we had some of those videos back in a couple years ago when Ethereum was $200, and then again we had the reaccumulation phase of a lifetime when Ethereum was $400. And when we did that, Ethereum was right here. Okay, so if Ethereum gets rejected here and goes and puts in a lower low, I would likely consider that to be a better candidate for an accumulation phase of a lifetime. If, on the other hand, Ethereum rallies through and the transition from proof of work to proof of stake goes off completely it goes through amazingly without any issues. I do think that with a lot of these software upgrades, you do need to understand that a lot of things can go wrong. But if it goes off without a hitch and the Fed pivots, then perhaps you could see some other route being taken. Okay, so just some things to consider with Ethereum. A fairly big milestone coming up. I'm pretty excited about it. We've been waiting for it for seemingly forever. If you had told me in 2017 it would be 2022 and it still hasn't happened yet, I would have been kind of surprised. But here we are. It's 2022, and come September, hopefully we will see the transition from proof of work to proof of stake. And if there's any issues at all, whether it be regulatory or any issues sort of pop up, you could easily see this just being another lower high, right? I don't really think that needs to be said, but if there's any issues at all, it could just be another lower high, especially if the Fed remains steadfast in their commitment to conquer inflation, and inflation still remains relatively high. If, on the other hand, the Fed pivots sooner rather than later, and Ethereum's transition from proof of work to proof of stake goes off better than maybe people are pricing in, then perhaps we don't have to come all the way back down to these levels. But I do think that you should plan for all scenarios. So again, there's no sure thing in these markets. There's no certainties in life except death and taxes. I'm not going to tell you exactly where the price is going to go, but I do think it's worthwhile to plan for all scenarios and to say, if it's a lower high, you need to be prepared for that. Okay, if it's just simply a lower high, you need to prepare for that if we go into this range over here. But if, on the other hand, the traditional markets rally back up and don't look back, then there's a higher likelihood that Ethereum has a bit more juice in it and doesn't necessarily need to go down these levels. So I do think a lot of this is going to be determined in just the next couple of months as traditional markets figure out, is this just a bear market rally or is it not? Remember, right? Remember this. In 2018, the S&P, if you remember, it barely put in a lower low, but then crypto completely nuked down. Okay, so the first half of the year was pretty bad for the S&P, and then it rallied back up through September, and then going into October, November, December, the S&P dropped again and put in a new low. If something like that were to happen, you could see traditional markets put in a lower low after they maybe even put in a higher high, but the crypto markets can still get wrecked. Remember, crypto assets are extremely risky. So when traditional markets show any sign of weakness, crypto usually gets wrecked a lot quicker, right? It's a lot more brutal for crypto assets. But we also know that when the market conditions are perfect, crypto can go up a lot more than traditional assets as well. So I do want people to sort of plan for this scenario. Will the S&P blast through these levels? I mean, it's also coming in on some resistance at its own 200-day moving average. So I do think these are certainly a lot of levels that people are currently watching. And I do imagine that whatever happens will be reflected over with Ethereum. So we'll see if Ethereum can blast through its bull market support band or not. If it does get rejected and it's just simply another lower high, then you guys know where arguably the accumulation phase of a lifetime zone would sit down below. As I said back in 2019, right? As I said back then, I have no idea how long we'll be in this band, right? When we were over here, like I had no idea how long we'd be in it. Once we left it, I said, I have no idea when we will return. But I do think we will return one day. Okay, I do. Whether it's now, right? Whether it ends up being now and we come down here and then go in for another bull market, or if we end up doing something like this and going on a crazy path and then hit it later, right? I do think we will eventually hit it. I think it's just a matter of time before we eventually hit it. We came relatively close to it not too long ago. So if you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. Remember to check out Into the Cryptoverse Premium at intothecryptoverse.com. You will get access to weekly reports and videos, the Telegram alerts channel, the Telegram chat room, the risk dashboard, and then a whole lot of charts, not only for Ethereum, but for a lot of other cryptocurrencies and stocks as well, including on-chain data for cryptocurrencies, risk analysis, and we have social statistics, derivatives data, and more. So make sure you check it out, intothecryptoverse.com. Thank you guys for tuning in, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.